In the meantime, Newt Gingrich says that these strikes are sending a powerful message. By the way, not just to Syria. The former speaker with us right now. Newt, explain.
Well, I think that a lot of people had watched 8 years of Barack Obama give big speeches and tiny actions, and they'd watched him fail totally on Syria. And Trump, within 48 hours, had changed that whole narrative, much like Reagan did in 1981 in the Gulf of Sidra, when we shot down 2 Libyan aircraft after 4 years of Jimmy Carter's weakness. So I think the world saw all of a sudden, this is a president who's not afraid to use force. He's not going to tell you about it in advance. He's not going to signal it. But if you push him to the wall, he will hit, and he'll hit very hard. And, of course, he has an extraordinary national security team, so they're able to put this together pretty fast. And I thought last night they did a very good job.
You know, he has a guy, you know, like a Mad Dog Madison. I always wish that, does he have any equivalent of that with his economic team? Maybe he does, but I will say. But I did want to get your sense of maybe others miscalculating when it came to President Trump, and maybe because he had been so critical of his predecessor and you know, warning him don't get too knee-deep involved in what's going on in Syria, all but acquiescing after he was elected that he had no interest in a regime change in Syria. So I'm wondering whether that was interpreted on the part of the Syrian regime to do whatever the hell it wanted to do, and they just miscalculated, severely so.
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, the way these particular chemical weapons were used, you can imagine a local commander who was in desperate trouble who just decided to heck with it. He was going to do what he had to do to survive. The fact that the weapons are still available, the fact that the Syrians lied a year ago when they said they'd gotten rid of them, right. The fact that the Russians lied when they guaranteed that they were gone, I think all those things compounded. And I do think that Trump is in a process of learning.
No, you seized on an important point. I didn't want to interrupt you, but you're the first one to state that part of this UN brokered deal, so that we wouldn't be, you know, dealing with red lines or anything, was that they would stop the chemical weapons stuff, that Russia would make sure they stopped the chemical weapons stuff, and they lied. They lied. I'm so glad you mentioned that. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
And as a result, I think it's an important point to put in context, because it also indicates why we dealt with the Russians the way we did last night, which was purely militarily. We gave them very brief notice that we were coming in, that they needed to get out of the way. We didn't bargain. We didn't negotiate. We said, these are the rules of the road. Please get out of the way. We're coming. And I think that was an important reminder to Putin that in the end we are vastly bigger than they are. We project power radically better than they do, and that they would have an impossible task if they wanted to really contest Syria with us. And I think the Syrians need to take notice here. If they do something really stupid and destructive again, I think Trump will hit them again. And I think that they need to understand this. This is a president who is willing to be very clear and then to be very forceful.
All right, we do know that the Russians have a ship going toward the ships that were from which they were launching those Tomahawk missiles last night. It's very easy to see how this could get crazy. What do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, that ship had to have been underway for a good while to be where it is now. So I think it was before the American hammering of Syria. I think, second, they have freedom of the sea. They can come and hang out with us as long as they stay outside of the certain limits that are set by international law. We used to do this all the time with the Russians. We occasionally even bumped boats back in the Cold War period.
Do you think they would just stand idly by if we were to launch another missile attack on them? You do.
Their ability, their Navy's ability to survive is zero. If they were to get into a fight with us, they literally would have zero potential to survive. They could hurt us, but they would disappear in the process.